Okay, who'd learned the arts, but all his fantasy was turned to study of astrology, and knew a certain set of theorems, and could find out by various stratagems, if men but asked him in certain hours, when they should have a drought, or else have showers. Okay, so what'd the scholar study? Exactly, astrology. But what did he do on the side? Fortune telling, good. So here, if he asks, in certain hours. So people come to him for advice. Or if men asked of him what should befall to anything I cannot reckon them all, this clerk was called the clever Nicholas. Of secret loves he knew and their solace, and he kept counsel too, for he was sly. Okay, what else did you find out about the scholar? What?
He's sly.
He's sly. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad.
Right. And you found out his name. What's his name? Nicholas. So Nicholas is the scholar. He's sly. And he knows people's secrets. Meek as any maiden passing by, he had a chamber in that hostelry, and lived there alone without company, all garnished with sweet herbs of good repute, and he himself sweet-smelling as a root, of licorice, valerian, or setwall, his almagest and books both great and small, his astrolabe belonging to his art, his algorithm stones all laid apart. So, what did his room look like? What, champ? What did you say?
Library.
Messy.
I saw everywhere.
This part right here just says he has all his things kind of laid out. So the alchemist, the astrolabe, and the algorithm, those are all astrological devices. Organized, yes, I would say so. Okay, what else did you learn about his room?
A lot of books.
A lot of books, and it smells good. Sweet herbs of good repute. And he himself, he also smelled good. So his room was sweet smelling as well as he. Let's see. All right, so I'm starting about here. So on shelves that arranged his lone bed's head, his press was covered with a cloth of red. And over all there lay upholstery, wherein he made an evening's melody, playing so sweetly that the chamber rang, an angulus adverbium he sang, and after he warbled with the king's note, often in a good voice was his merry throat. All right, so what else did you learn about this guy? He sings. Evening's melody. But there's also one thing in here that you know, he sleeps alone. So beside his lone bed's head. So far, what do you think of this guy? Speak up. What do you think of this guy? What's your first impression of him?
Lonely.
He's lonely, absolutely. He's probably pretty smart because he studies the stars. You know he's sly, so you know he's got a little naughty side to him. All right.
Does sly mean naughty though? I don't think it means.
Slimy, well, you'll see he is a bit naughty.
But sly doesn't mean naughty.
No, he means sneaky. So he's sneaky. Like what? There you go. Sneaky. Okay. All right, looks like I'm missing part of this. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Often in good voice was his merry throat, and thus his gentle clerk his leisure spends, supported by some income and his friends. So he can't really support himself always. So some income and friends. So his friends help him out a lot. So all of that was in describing the young scholar. Now we get back to the carpenter. The carpenter had late wed a wife, whom Lie loved better than he loved his life. Okay, first of all, Lie loved life. What's my literary element there? Alliteration, when you have the same L sound on top of all those words. And she was come to 18 years of age. So, he's kind of a creeper. He's a rich creeper. So, rich carpenter has an 18-year-old wife, whom he loved, which you can also kind of tell that he loved her more than she loved him.
How do you know he's rich?
Because it said so at the very beginning. Like up here.
Okay, so
It does it, but you can kind of, you get that impression that he's not 18 or
it's not
19.
the carpenter was broke.
The scholar's broke. The carpenter's rich. Because he's got the house where the scholar lives.
So Nicholas is the scholar.
Nicholas is the scholar. Okay, now we're getting into the description of the wife. Put away that phone or it is mine. All right, jealous he was and held her close in a cage. For she was wild and young and he was old. Okay, now we have confirmed that he's old. And deemed himself as like to be a cuckold. First of all, what's a cuckold? And where have you heard it before? Shakespeare, maybe, yes. So the definition of a cuckold is a guy who has a wife who has cheated on him. So already Chaucer's setting up what's going on here. He knew not Cato, for his lore was rude, that vulgar man should wed similitude. A man should wed according to estate, for young and age are often in debate. All right, what does that mean? A man should wed according to estate. Meaning?
His age.
Speak up, speak up. Yes, if he has money, he should marry money. Because why do you think the 18-year-old married him? He was rich. For youth and age are often in debate, but now since he had fallen in a snare, he must endure like other folk his care. Fair was his youthful wife, and therewithal as weasels was her body slim and small. All right, so in Shakespearean time, if you were fair, that means you were beautiful. And she had an 18-year-old's body that was slim and small. Even though he compares it to a weasel. Yeah. So you can you're starting to get a little character sketch of this girl. A girdle wore she, bared stripe of silk, an apron too, as white as morning milk. About her loins and full of many a gore, white was her smock embroidered all before. And even behind, her collar round bout of coal-black silk on both sides, in and out. The strings of the white cap upon her head were like her collar black silk worked with thread. Her fillet was of wide silk worn full high, and certainly she had a liquorish eye. Okay, so what does that say about her clothes? They're black and white. Are they grimy? Are they nice? Or are they what's about it with her clothes? Yeah, they're very, it said silk like 2 times in there. So that's all about what she wore.
Is she an important character?
Oh, yes, she is. All right. She'd thinned out carefully her eyebrows, too, and they were arched and black as any slough. She was far more pleasant thing to see than is the newly budded young pear tree. And softer than the wool is on a wether, down from her girdle hung a purse of leather, tasseled with silk and laden beading sewn, in all this world searching it up and down. So, you know she takes care of herself. So right here, plucking her eyebrows, coloring them in. They're dark black. So here she's got nice clothes, beautiful, young, and wild. Don't forget the wild part. So gay a little doll I will believe, or such a wench there's no man can conceive. So right there, Chaucer's kind of set this up. Okay, is she good or is she kind of naughty? So he's comparing her to a doll or kind of comparing her to a wench. Far brighter was the brilliance of her hue than the tower in gold coins minted new. And songs came shrilling from her pretty head as from a swallow sitting on a sled. Therewith she danced too and should play, and, let's see, sham like any kid or calf about its clam. Damn. Her mouth was sweet as braggart or mead. So again, she can dance, she can sing. She's being compared to a doll or a wench. She's got nice clothes. She's arched her eyebrows. Lots of different things about this girl. So what are you thinking about her so far? Peter? Think she's going to get in trouble? Heck yeah. All right, moving on to the next page here. Or hoard of apples laid in hay or weed, skittish she was, as is a pretty colt. Tall as a staff and straight as crossbow bolt. A brooch she wore upon her collar low, as broad as boss of buckler did show. All right, broad, boss, buckler. There's another alliteration for you right there. Her shoes laced up to where a girl's legs thicken. She was a primrose and a tender chicken. Ladies, how would you like to be compared to a tender chicken? Why would he compare her to a tender chicken? What? What's his purpose here? Don't everybody speak up at once. Why would he compare her to a tender chicken?
You said lady.
What?
You said ladies.
Lady? Okay.
No, you said ladies to answer.
Oh, yeah, but none of them are answering. Maybe the guys have a better idea.
Nolan does.
Huh? Come on, Nolan, say it. Chaucer's being naughty. You. Exactly. Exactly. And she's tender. Okay, Chaucer's just getting warmed up here. The author. All right. For any lord to lay upon his bed, or yet for any good yeoman to wed. Now, sir, and then Sir Go befell the case, that on a day this clever Nicholas fell in with this young wife to toy and play. All right, this is where Nicholas comes in. He's discovered the carpenter's wife. Question, Franny?
Okay, Nicholas is the carpenter.
No, remember Nicholas is the scholar who lives with the carpenter. Remember, he's the one with the sweet-smelling room and all the books.
Is he the lonely one?
Yes.
And the carpenter's married?
The carpenter's married to the girl.
Okay.
While her husband was down on the way, clerks being crafty as the best of us, unperceived and caught her by the puss, saying, Indeed, unless I have my will, for secret love of you, sweetheart, I will spill. All right, so not to be too crude, caught her by the puss, he grabbed her butt. Nicholas.
Oh boy.
Nicholas grabbed, yeah. You didn't think Chaucer was going to be so naughty here. Yep. Poor Olivia's over there going, okay, this is too much. Can't handle this. All right, for secret love of you, sweetheart, I'll spill, and held her heart about the hips and how, and said, oh, darling, love me now, or I shall die and pray you God may save. And she leapt, so right here, he's kind of forcing himself on her. And leapt as a colt does in the tave, and with her head she twisted fast away. So that means she's trying to get away. And said, I will not kiss you, by my fay. Why, let go, she said, let go, Nicholas. For I will call for help and cry amiss. Do take your hands away for courtesy. This Nicholas for mercy then did cry. And spoke so well and importuned her so fast that she her love did grant him at last. All right, so that didn't take long. So Nicholas, even though he's the poor sly scholar, is very persuasive. And swore her oath by St. Thomas of Kent that she would be at his command content. And soon as opportunity she could spy, my husband is so full of jealousy. Unless you await me secretly, I know I'm just as good as dead, said she. You must keep all quiet hidden in this case. So now they're scheming on how to do it again, but behind the carpenter's back. Nay, thereof not worry, said Nicholas, the clerk as lazily employed his while. If he cannot a carpenter beguile. And thus they were agreed, and then they swore to wait a while, as I have said before. All right, so they did it once. Now they have to scheme their plan before they do it again. When Nicholas had done thus every whit and patted her about the loins a bit, he just patted her butt again. So Nicholas is a bit of, he is feisty. Remember, he's lonely. He kissed her sweetly and took his psaltery and played it fast and made a melody, and fell it thus that to the parish kirk the Lord Christ Jesus own works for to work. Remember, Chaucer also put in lots of Christian references here. So, Lord Jesus Christ here is an allusion. This good wife went upon a holy day. So, he not only seduced her, he seduced her on Sunday. So, I know. Her forehead shone as bright as does the May. So she's like red and flustered there. So while she'd washed it when she left off work, now there was of that church a parish clerk. So she's going off to church here. And this parish clerk is another guy. So Absalom, in the next line, is our next character, whose name was, as folks call him, Absalom. Curled was his hair, shining like gold, and from his head spread fanwise in a thick, bright mop. 'Twas parted straight and even at the top. His cheek was red, his eyes gray as goose. Okay, Absalom works for the church. But the description here makes him sound pretty handsome. He's got nice curly hair, it's parted.
His eyes are great as means.
No, they're just a nice color. With St. Paul's windows cut upon his shoes, he stood in red hose, fitting famously. Okay. Everything you know about Chaucer's time, the guys wore like tights. So, fitting famously means this little parish guy looked good in his tights. Fitting famously. And he was clothed well, full, and properly, all in a coat of blue, in which were let holes for the lacings, which were fairly set. And over all he wore a fine surplice, as white as ever hawthorn spray and nice. A merry lad he was, so God me save. So again, these are all kind of descriptions of this clerk. This very religious, supposedly religious clerk. And well could he let blood cut hair and shave, and draw a deed or quit claim as might chance. In 20's manners he could trip and dance. So he was kind of clumsy. Even though he was really good to look at, he was not a very good dancer.
So the wife goes to the church.
Right.
Where she cheated.
Yep. And then she meets the clerk, who looks good in tights. After the school that reigned in Oxford, though, and with his 2 legs swinging to and fro, he could play upon a violin, thereto he sang in treble voice and thin, as well he could play on his guitar. Okay, so he can sing and play instruments. Right here you got the violin, he's got a treble voice, and he plays guitar. This is where it starts to get good. All in the town no inn was and no bar that he'd not visited to make good cheer. So here's this very religious clerk with his nice voice and his nice tights visiting the bars. So make good cheer. Was he sober or drunk?
Drunk.
Absolutely. So he'd go there to sing and play and come out drunk. Especially where lively barmaids there. But, truth to tell, he was a bit squeamish of farting and of language so haughty-ish. Okay, so the bars were kind of rowdy places. So he didn't really like the patrons who were there, but he really liked the barmaids he could see. So, look, Chaucer used the word fart. This Absalom, who was so light and gay, went with a censer on the holy day, sensing the wives like an enthusiast, and on them many a loving look he cast. Okay, he's at the church. He's like looking up at all the ladies in the parish, and he's like eyeballing them. In church, he's kind of a creeper too.
How do you know that?
Because he, sensing the wives, so it went with the censer on the holy day, so going to church, sensing the wives like an enthusiast, and on them many a loving look he cast, especially on this carpenter's good wife. So, now you poor Nicholas has some competition with the clerk. To look at her he thought a merry life. She was so pretty, sweet, and licorice. So I have no idea what licorice means, but I'm sure you guys could come up with a definition or two. I dare well say if she had been a mouse and he a cat, he would have mauled her some. So here's the parish clerk. He's got his own ideas about this carpenter's wife. This parish clerk, this lively Absalom, had in his heart now such a love longing, that from no wife took he an offering. So there were plenty of ladies who were after him. He just turned them all down because he's in love with the carpenter's wife. And from no wife took he an offering. For courtesy he said he would take none. The moon, when it was night, fully bright shone, and his guitar did Absalom den take. For in love watching, okay, modern day terms, peeping Tom, he'd intend to wake, and forth he went jolly and amorous. Until he came unto the carpenter's house. So he's bringing his sweet voice and his guitar playing, and he's going to woo the carpenter's wife.
Where did you go?
Line 170. So a little after cocks began to crow, and took his stand beneath a shot window that was let into the good wood Wright's wall. There's a good alliteration, wood Wright's wall. He sang then in his pleasant voice and small. Oh, now, dear lady, if your will it be, I pray that you will have some ruth on me, The words in harmony with his string plucking, this carpenter awoke and heard him sing. All right, so the carpenter wakes up to find the clerk singing beneath his window to his wife. And called unto his wife and said in psalm, "What, Allison, do you hear Absalom?" Okay, this is the first time we get her name. Who plays and sings beneath our bedroom wall, and she said to her husband with her all, "Yes, God knows, John, I hear it, truth to tell." So this went on, and what is there better than well? From day to day this pretty Absalom so wooed her, and he was woebegone therefrom. He lay awake all night and all day. So actually we get the carpenter's name here too. So the carpenter's name is John. So what's this husband to do? What's he thinking about right now? He's like, I am not leaving my 18-year-old bride alone. He doesn't even know about Nicholas yet. Here's the clerk, Absalom, singing to her beneath the window. How much? All right, so I'm going to stop here.